When we're young, we have an amazing, positive outlook about how great life is going to be, but somewhere along the line, we forget to dream and end up settling. Join Up Dots features amazing people who refuse to give up and chose to go after their dreams. This is your blueprint for greatness. So here's your host, live from the back of his garden in the UK, David Ralph.
Yes, hello there. Good morning, everybody. Good morning and welcome to Join Up Dots. This is David Ralph coming to you directly from the back of the garden in the United Kingdom. And it's a good garden today. It is a lovely garden. The sun is shining. The squirrels are running around. The birds are tweeting happy tunes and the world seems good. But this is what this episode's going to be about. It's just going to be me today. It's just going to be me talking my stuff, trying to inspire you guys to look at life in a slightly different way. And we're doing more of that in Join Up Dots. And Join Up Dots is definitely becoming more of a coaching platform. Now, what I have never liked about a lot of entrepreneurs online is that they basically launch something and within about 13 seconds they're saying, come to me, I will teach you how to do X, Y, Z. And they haven't really done it themselves. They're teaching what they're learning at that time. Is it right or is it wrong? Who knows? Who knows what the right way of doing things is? But I certainly think that there's got to be a journey. There's got to be a development, an internal development. So when you share your knowledge, you really speak from the heart. You know what it's all about. And that's what Join Up Dots is sort of morphing into. So we are going to be bringing more online courses, but I want to connect with you guys. I want to connect with you guys on a personal basis so that we can connect maybe 2 or 3 times a week, get a really tight-knit group, and we can talk about how to create an online business, how to bring income into your life, how to do it while being free. That is one of my masterclasses. I am literally, well, you can't get me. You can't get me unless I allow you to get me. And if you are beautiful, young, blonde hair and a love of 80s music, then you can get me quite easily. Anyone else, then you've got to get into the list. And you've got to prove yourself, really. And I make it quite difficult to get hold of me so that if somebody manages to get through, then it's likely that we will connect. But I'm going to be doing a lot more of that. And I tested it out about a year ago, something like that. And we created Dream Starters Academy, which for one reason or other, it didn't really take off. And I think that was more down to myself than anybody else. But we're going to be bringing that back and in an advanced form. So keep your eyes out for that. If you want to start creating your own business, creating income, being happier than you've ever been, and of course, doing it in your own time so it doesn't kill you like it literally killed me, then this is the place for you. But anyway, that's not what it's all about, this show. That's not what it's all about. Basically, this is the happiness class. I'm going to bring happiness into your world today because I think so many people, and I saw it yesterday actually. I was driving along quite happily and the windows were down and I had the Eagles on the radio and that was the band, not the wah, wah, that would just be annoying. And the band was singing their songs and I had a happy attack. I thought to myself, life can't be any better. This is great. And then this guy cut this other guy up and they slammed their brakes on and they were screaming and shouting for about 30 seconds and then off they went. And I thought, they must have been pretty highly strung to hit that kind of anger that quickly. They must have been desperately trying to get to somewhere. They must have been wanting, or their life hadn't been going the way they wanted it that morning, and their Weetabix had gone soggy or whatever. But there was this aggression, this burst of aggression. And I thought to myself, when was the last time I felt anything like that? And I don't. I literally live in a happy world because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Yes, I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Come on, everybody. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Oh, I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Now, when was the last time you spontaneously burst into song and danced? Because it does make you feel good. It makes you feel a bit stupid as well. But luckily, no one listens to this podcast, so nobody will hear me do that. But when was the last time you did that? And so what I'm going to talk about today is about how to just be happy. That is in you. You can just bring out natural happiness. And some of the happiness, you've got to sort of get over yourself. You've got to think, okay, I might look a bit stupid doing this, but it still kind of makes you inwardly smile. And so this is my 5-step masterclass into happiness. And the reason that I brought this, I was always very good at being happy and just naturally being happy. And I lost track of myself last year, really. And as you would have heard on Join Up Dots, I got into a real sort of bad state. And my hair all went like really brittle and dropped out, and I just felt like this dark cloud was over me. So I went to the doctors, and the doctor tried to prescribe me happy pills, as they call them, and to go to a therapist. And I thought, no, that's not right. I just know that's not right. And anyway, there must have been some kind of chemical imbalance in me or something, because I sort of pulled myself out. But through that dark time, I remember just thinking that just the world was crap and everything was rubbish, and I was striving for something and it wasn't sort of being achieved. And why am I working so hard when everybody else is life looks amazing? And so what I did first of all was, and this is a great tip for you, is I closed down all social media and I stopped looking at anything. And now I kind of dabble out of interest every now and again, but more often than not I don't go into Facebook, because it only tells you what people want you to see. It's very rare that you have somebody go, oh, life is terrible, life is this. More often than not, it's, oh, this is wonderful, and I'm doing this at the weekend, and I'm doing that. Now, that's not how life is. Life is kind of like peaks and troughs of happiness. If you've got a family, like I've got a family, then my weekends predominantly are about chasing the kids around to different clubs, maybe mowing a lawn or two. If I can get out for a pint in the evening, that would be great. But it's not like peaks and troughs of amazing stuff all the time. But on Facebook, you can kind of get seduced into the fact that, oh, my life is so boring and everybody else is amazing. So what I did was I stopped looking at social media, first of all. And it was a bit of an addiction, because it's quite easy to just log onto Facebook and log onto this and have a look around and stuff. But I just closed it all down and I limited myself. I only allowed myself an hour a day, first of all. And then it got less and less and less. And then basically I remember posting on something like June the 17th and saying, hello, Facebook, this is my first post this year. And people came back to me and went, why? You know, what's happened? Well, why have you not been here? Have you lost control of your thumbs? What are you doing in your life? But it was great. It made me realise that I wasn't comparing against anything. I wasn't looking at how other podcasters are doing. I'm not looking at how other public speakers are doing. I was just doing what I had to do for my own life. And when you take away those comparisons, it really is a great way of being happy. You know, you imagine you're on a desert island and you wake up when the sun comes up and you go and do a bit of fishing and you catch a fish and you sit there and you eat your fish, and then you maybe build a little hut, whatever, out of bamboo canes and stuff. And there's not somebody about 4 feet up the beach that has made this mansion out of bamboo canes, and you're looking at your effort thinking, that's rubbish. It should be more like that. You're just happy with what you're doing. That's how we've got to operate in life, I think. I think we've got to try to take away the comparisons that are out there to bring happiness into our life, to make us realise that our efforts have done whatever thing comes our way. It's down to us, and we're not benchmarking ourselves against anyone else. So I really think that was number one. Get rid of all comparisons, because it's just happy time. It's just happy time in your life. You're not trying to strive for something that maybe isn't even real. You're looking at what somebody's showing you, but it's not real. So if you're happy with that, clap along. No, I won't keep on doing that, but it does make you feel good. It does make you feel good. So I had a guy on the show, or was it a lady? I can't remember. No, it was a guy, because I remember thinking this must be a bit stupid. And he says whenever he feels down, he skips. He skips, and not like the sort of Rocky and the rope, just like a little 4-year-old girl skipping happily. And he said, it just makes me internally smile and I feel better for myself. And I remember thinking to myself, yeah, but what do people think about you? But of course it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And I've done that with my daughter. I use her as my safety blanket. When she was little, she's 12 now, we used to go skipping down the road. And more often than not, people coming along in their cars, driving past us, would see us and they would smile as well, because of the lunacy of a 47-year-old guy skipping, or the love that he was showing to his daughter, or whatever. But you could see them smiling and honking their horns and stuff, and it kind of made me feel good. I was spreading a little bit of happiness, a little bit of stupidity back into the world. So that's a real good way of doing it. Get out of your own way. The second thing I would say to you all is, if you can free your heart from hatred. How many times, and I used to be a classic one of this when my kids were growing up, and especially when they got to that age, 15, 16, and they thought they could rule the roost, I used to have imaginary arguments with them. I'd be driving along, right, if you say this, I'm going to say that, and I'm going to win. And if they say that, and I realised that life is all about people operating in their own way. And the reason that I was getting worked up was they weren't operating in the way that I would operate. They weren't operating in the kind of moral structure. Just wouldn't. I get up early in the morning and my family would lay in bed till lunchtime. I can't let that bother me. It used to bother me. I used to think, why am I the only one up? Why is everybody late? But that's them. I can't let that that happiness creep away from me just because how other people are operating. And so you got to free your heart from thinking people are screwing you over and trying to make life miserable for you, because they're not. They're just doing their own thing. And when you can actually smile at that thing, and certainly with partners, I don't know, everybody out there's got a partner. When you first join forces and you move in together, there's a lot of stuff that just annoys you. And the way they only squeeze the toothpaste from halfway up, or the way they put these pictures up on the wall and you don't even like the pictures, and all those kind of things. But little by little, you realise that actually you found a sort of a middle ground. And then when they're not with you anymore, or they passed away, God forbid, you'll go into people's houses and you'll see the toothpaste tube squeezed in the middle, and it will make you feel happy. Because of their petty annoyance is part of you now. You realise that it wasn't worth it, and it's actually their own thing. So free your heart from hatred, free your heart from just being annoyed, and just let things go. Let it go. Let it go. God, I've been in a singing mood. I might give you a burst of Never Gonna Give You Up in a minute. Go on then. Never gonna give you up. Never gonna let you down. Never gonna run around and desert you. And never gonna... Right, that's enough of that. You can see I feel happy today. Free your mind from worries. Now, this is a real big one for everybody out there. Free your mind from worries. We all have worries. But the Dalai Lama, and this is one of these things that when he says it to you and you're really stewed up, you just want to punch the Lama in the face. Just punch him in the face and let him bleed at your feet. Because he says that if it's something that you can't do anything about, then don't worry about it. And if it's something that you can do something about, do the thing about it. But don't worry about it. You know, just take the actions. And I think that is kind of good advice. It's not easy while you are stewing about bank accounts and mortgages and all those kind of things. But we've got actions. We can always take actions towards freeing ourselves from something. And more often than not, the things that we worry about, that, what happens if this doesn't happen? It's going to ruin my life, generally doesn't really happen. We worry about things. We worry about planes crashing. We worry about our kids being abducted. We worry about all these kind of things that we read in the press. But actually, it doesn't really happen. And you can just let a lot of it go. Once again, let it go, let it go. Because we're in control of our own life. And we can control the actions that we take to make sure that these things don't happen or operate in a way that we want. You know, we've got total autonomy on our actions, so we can do anything we want. So we don't have to worry. And I'm not good at that. I'm very good at pushing the worries away, but then they creep back in. I'm one of these people that seems worry-free from outside, but actually inside I'm a bit stewy. And more often than not, I will you know that bit when you're just waking up and you haven't quite sort of stirred and you realise that you're sort of coming to the day. The day is... dragging you out of your sleep. I can feel more often than not my stomach stewing, thinking, oh, got to do this, I've got to do that. Yeah, that needs to be done. This needs to be done. But then once I sort of awake, I can go, no, this is stupid. Just push it away, which I did this morning. I sat in the garden and had a little sunbathe. Lovely at 8 o'clock in the morning with a cup of tea. Sit there and just feel the sun coming over the neighbour's fence onto my face. Could it be more perfect? Okay, which takes me really to the next one that I want to bring to you in our pursuit of happiness. And if you haven't seen that film with Simon Pegg, Hector, and I think it's called The Pursuit from Happiness, it's on Netflix, look it up. Because it's a great film, and it's about a guy who is a psychiatrist, and he gets really depressed because he's dealing with other people's problems, and he knows that no matter what he says to them, they're not going to change, and they keep on coming year after year, week after week after week, so he gets really depressed. So he decides to go and try to find happiness in the world. And it's a brilliant, uplifting film. I really enjoyed it. But one of the things that he realised was the more simply we live, the happier we are. And there is a truth that the suicide rate in like third world countries is almost non-existent compared to America, for example, where the Americans and the English and all the people that have got so much in their lives are driven to achieve what their friends have done, and the comparisons, as I say, and they don't think they're worthy enough. Now, the Indians, they basically just look to get enough food to survive, and the Africans and all these people that are living very simply on very a limited amount of money, their suicide rate is nothing because they haven't got the expectations. They are just living their life. And there is a big movement of people trying to live simply and just pushing it away. And I've done that several times. I got rid of a lot of my clothes, not all of my clothes, because there are moral standards to keep up. But hey, I wouldn't mind doing that. And getting rid of all the things like MP3 players. I don't have any of those now. Laptops, don't have any of those. A phone, a watch. I don't have any of the kind of stuff that kind of drives me to be at places at certain times. It's very much I just live my life and then eat my dinner and sort of go to bed in the evening. And it was a game changer. Now, you can go over to a podcast called The Minimalists, and there's a film on Netflix, which once again is very good. And I really liked it because they were talking to all these people that have been on the show. And so they were ex-Join Up Dots guests, and I was thinking, I spoke to him, and it was good. And it was about these guys that basically decided that were they working to afford their living or were they working to experience life? And they realised that they had car loans, they had mortgages, they had clothes budget, and they were just working all the time to basically pay off their credit cards. And so they decided to get rid of everything and look at the minimum they could do to survive financially. And if you can do that, I remember when I became debt free, it was liberation, because literally everything I earned from then on was just profit. And yeah, you've got the bills, you've got the food each week, you've got all those kind of expenses, but the actual kind of debts, total liberation. And they did that as well, and they looked at it, and they're called The Minimalists, and you can go over there. They've got a podcast and they've got a film on Netflix as well, but they're trying to find the simplest way of living so that they can touch into that happiness of having life experiences instead of a wall of clothes everywhere and CDs and DVDs and all these things that we convince ourselves we need but we don't really need. Okay, and so what they did, they took all this stuff and they gave a lot of it away, and they took it round to sort of homeless people and said, here's some clothes for you. And they took it to charity shops, and they realised that actually their happiness increased by giving more of their time and helping people and actually being outward pushing with their emotions more than give me, and sort of bring it back. And you see that with multimillionaires. You see that with Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, that they've got so much money that they now give most of it away. And they've got foundations and they've got charities and stuff, because it comes a point that you're saturated with taking stuff in. And you need to free yourself and just push it back. And so they're doing that, and lots of people are doing that. And I do recommend it as well. I don't do that much. I'm much happier to host a pub quiz. I've done quite a few of those, to raise money for charity than going around and, helping a homeless person get showered or something. My wife is very good at doing the horrible things in life. I like to do the kind of clean stuff where I will raise money for things by my talents and my skills. And if you want a host for a pub quiz, I'm your man. I like doing those, and we bash those out and normally raise about £500 to £600 in an evening. People have a good time, and the charities do well for it. And so that is my little giving back, which we do. And I suppose the last thing has been touched on all the way through this episode of happiness, and it's expect less. Yeah, expect less in your life. If you aren't aiming for anything amazing, then you're happy with what you get. Yeah, you're just living the bare necessities. Oh, there we go. There's a song. I've got to do this one. Look for the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. Forget about your worries and your strife. Yeah, man. Oh, it's the bare necessities that brings a bare recipes or whatever. It brings the bare necessities to life. Oh, makes a bear rest at ease. I think that was the words. But yeah, if you think of old Baloo from the Jungle Book, and we all remember that from our childhood, what did he do? He just kind of walked around, laying there, sunbathing, eating a bit every now and again. He was living very simply, and he wasn't expecting a lot in his life. So he looked happy. He looked free. He had that kind of spirit. So if you're listening to this and you're on your commute, think to yourself, when was the last time I actually turned off the radio and just listened to silence? When was the last time that I actually, at lunchtime, I decided to give myself a break, but instead of going off and reading a newspaper, just sort of going for a walk in the sunshine, just nothing stuff that doesn't cost anything at all. Because happiness is in us all the time, but we lose track of it because we're constantly churning, we're constantly trying to get things done, we're constantly aiming for stuff. And I think the real happiness in life is the journey, and it's not the constantly trying to get higher and higher up the ladder. It's just doing the thing that you love more than anything and doing it as well as you possibly can. And don't worry about the rewards that come to you, because they will come to you anyway. It's proof of the pudding in Join Up Dots. Now, when I started it, it was just a podcast, and now there's so many different avenues that more often than not, I say no to them. I get loads of people that come through to me and say, oh, what we should do is we should do this and we should do that. And I think, no, it's just another thing on my plate. I want to sit in the garden with a cup of tea. I don't want to be doing all that kind of stuff. So just look at your life and think to yourself, when was the last time you actually stepped off and just focused in on yourself and focused in on the way that you're feeling, and just, clap along, sing and skip, and just be happy, and take your kids down the park and leave your phone behind and leave your watch behind, and just focus in on the moment, because happiness is everywhere, but it starts within us. Always starts within us, and we can choose to be happy. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Join Up Dots. I've got 7 episodes back to back today. It's a long old day on a Thursday, but it's what I love more than anything. And hopefully that comes across on the show. And so thank you so much for listening to this. And if you can tell your neighbours and your friends and your colleagues that there's a guy in the United Kingdom that is worth listening to, really appreciate it. It really helps us to grow the show. And until next time, we'll see you again soon. Cheers. See ya.
David
Bye-bye.
doesn't want you to become a faded version of the brilliant self you were once to become. So he's put together an amazing guide for you called the 8 Pieces of Advice that every successful entrepreneur practices, including the 2 that changed his life. Head over to joinupdots.com to download this amazing guide for free, and we'll see you tomorrow on Join Up Dots.